For 30 years, Johnny Carson maintained a secret blacklist of celebrities who were never allowed back on The Tonight Show. The 8 names on that list included some of Hollywood's biggest stars, and the reasons why will shock you. Behind Carson's famous charm and professional demeanor lay an iron will and an unforgiving memory. When celebrities crossed his moral lines or violated his code of conduct, they didn't just lose their Tonight Show privileges, they lost access to the most powerful platform in entertainment forever. Johnny Carson's Tonight Show operated under a strict but unspoken code of conduct that every guest was expected to follow. Treat the crew with respect. Don't upstage the host. Don't bring your personal drama onto his stage. And most importantly, don't ever threaten or endanger his people. Johnny had rules that weren't written down anywhere, but everyone in Hollywood knew them, said longtime Tonight Show producer Fred D'Ordova. Break those rules and you were done. Not just for a few months or years, you were done forever. Carson's power in the entertainment industry was absolute. A single Tonight Show appearance could launch a career, while being banned from the show could effectively end one. The secret blacklist represented Carson's nuclear option reserved for the worst offenders who had committed unforgivable sins. The most shocking name on Carson's secret blacklist was Joan Rivers, his longtime friend and frequent guest host. Rivers' banishment wasn't for bad behavior backstage. It was for what Carson saw as the ultimate betrayal. In 1986, Rivers accepted an offer to host her own late-night show on the Fox network, directly competing with Carson. The betrayal wasn't just professional. It was personal. Rivers had been like family to Carson, and he learned about her new show not from her, but from newspaper reports. Johnny felt like Joan had stabbed him in the back, recalled Tonight Show writer Pat McCormick. She went from being his protégé to being his enemy overnight. He never spoke to her again. Rivers desperately tried to reconcile with Carson, sending letters and flowers, but he was immovable. When Rivers' Fox show failed after 7 months, she hoped for forgiveness. Instead, she found the Tonight Show doors permanently closed to her. Wayne Newton, Mr. Las Vegas himself, earned his spot on Carson's blacklist through a combination of arrogance and disrespect that culminated in a backstage confrontation that shook the Tonight Show staff. During a 1980 appearance, Newton allegedly made disparaging comments about Carson's professionalism and suggested that Carson was past his prime. When word of these comments reached Carson, he was furious. Wayne thought he was hot stuff because he was selling out Vegas shows, said a former Tonight Show talent coordinator. He made the mistake of thinking that made him bigger than Johnny Carson. The final straw came when Newton reportedly refused to follow the show's interview guidelines and tried to dictate the topics Carson could discuss. Carson, who had never tolerated diva behavior, quietly ensured that Newton's Tonight Show career was over. Johnny told me that Wayne had forgotten who made him famous in the first place, recalled Ed McMahon. He said some people needed to be reminded that respect flows upward, not downward. Chevy Chase's banishment from The Tonight Show stemmed from what Carson considered the most disrespectful guest appearance in the show's history. Chase's arrogance and contempt for the show's format created an atmosphere so toxic that Carson vowed never to deal with him again. During his final Tonight Show appearance in 1982, Chase allegedly spent the entire interview making snide comments about late-night television and suggesting that Carson's humor was outdated. The interview was so uncomfortable that Carson cut it short. Chevy acted like he was doing Johnny a favor by being there, said a former Tonight Show writer. He made it clear that he thought the show was beneath him. Johnny doesn't forget stuff like that. After the taping, Chase reportedly made additional disparaging comments about Carson to crew members, calling him a relic and predicting that late-night television would soon evolve beyond the Carson format. Johnny heard about Chevy's comments and just shook his head, recalled Tonight Show band leader Doc Severinsen. He said, "That's the last time that guy sets foot on this stage." Perhaps the most surprising name on Carson's blacklist was Elvis Presley, whose erratic behavior during his only Tonight Show appearance in 1969 left Carson convinced that the king was too unpredictable and dangerous for live television. Elvis arrived at the studio heavily medicated and displaying paranoid behavior that alarmed Carson and his staff. During the pre-in, Elvis allegedly made rambling statements about government conspiracies and expressed fears that people were trying to kill him. "Elvis was clearly not in his right mind," said a former Tonight Show security guard. He kept looking around like he expected someone to attack him. Johnny realized this wasn't just nerves. This was something much more serious. When Elvis took the stage, his performance was erratic and concerning. He forgot lyrics, made inappropriate comments to audience members, and seemed disconnected from reality. Carson managed the interview professionally, but privately decided that Elvis was too unstable for future appearances. Johnny told me that watching Elvis self-destruct on live television was one of the most depressing things he'd ever experienced, recalled Fred Cordova. He said he couldn't be responsible for enabling that kind of destruction. Jerry Lewis earned his permanent ban through what Carson considered inexcusable behavior toward Tonight Show staff members, particularly his treatment of female employees that crossed every line of professional conduct. During a 1975 appearance, Lewis allegedly made inappropriate sexual comments to multiple female staff members and physically grabbed a production assistant in a way that left her visibly shaken. Conn, who witnessed the incident, was appalled. Jerry thought he was being charming, but what he was doing was assault, said a former Tonight Show makeup artist. Johnny saw it happen and his face went white with anger. I'd never seen him look like that before. Carson confronted Lewis immediately after the taping, telling him that his behavior was unacceptable and that he was no longer welcome on the show. Lewis reportedly laughed off the confrontation, not realizing that Carson was deadly serious. Johnny told me that anyone who can't keep their hands to themselves doesn't deserve a platform, recalled Tonight Show writer John Cassie. He said Lewis represented everything wrong with the old Hollywood boys club. Andy Kaufman's ban from The Tonight Show was perhaps the most controversial as it involved Carson making a moral judgment about Kaufman's increasingly dangerous and exploitative performance art. Kaufman's appearances had always been unpredictable, but by 1982, his wrestling persona and aggressive treatment of audience members had convinced Carson that Kaufman was becoming genuinely dangerous. Andy's act stopped being funny and started being scary, said a former Tonight Show talent coordinator. He was getting physically aggressive with people and Johnny decided he couldn't risk having him on the show anymore. The final straw came when Kaufman allegedly threatened violence against a female heckler during a comedy club appearance that Carson attended. Carson, who had always supported experimental comedy, realized that Kaufman had crossed from performance into actual aggression. Johnny told me that there's a difference between pushing boundaries and threatening people, recalled Pat McCormick. He said Andy had lost that distinction and that made him too dangerous for television. Don Rickles' banishment was perhaps the most painful for Carson personally, as the two men had been genuine friends before a backstage incident destroyed their relationship forever. During a 1978 appearance, Rickles allegedly made cruel comments about Carson's recent divorce and personal struggles using information that Carson had shared with him in confidence. The betrayal of that trust was something Carson could never forgive. Don crossed a line that night, said Ed McMahon. He took Johnny's personal pain and used it for material. Johnny never got over that betrayal. The incident reportedly occurred during a commercial break when Rickles made jokes about Carson's failed marriage in front of the studio audience. Carson was forced to smile through the remainder of the show, but privately he was devastated. Johnny told me that losing Dawn's friendship was almost as painful as his divorce, recalled Joey Bishop. But he said that once someone shows you who they really are, you have to believe them. Richard Pryor's spot on Carson's blacklist was the result of drug-related behavior that Carson found increasingly disturbing and dangerous, culminating in an appearance where Pryor was clearly under the influence of cocaine. During his final Tonight Show appearance in 1981, Pryor arrived at the studio in an agitated state that immediately concerned Carson and his staff. His performance was erratic and his behavior during commercial breaks was alarming. Richard was clearly high on something and it was making him paranoid and aggressive, said a former Tonight Show security chief. Johnny realized that having him on the show was enabling his self-destruction. Carson, who had always been supportive of comedians struggling with personal issues, reached a breaking point with Pryor's drug use. He felt that continuing to give Pryor a platform was contributing to his problems rather than helping him. Johnny told me that watching Richard destroy himself with drugs was heartbreaking, recalled Fred Cordova. But he said he couldn't be part of that destruction anymore. Carson's secret blacklist represented more than just personal grudges. It was a statement about the kind of behavior that would and wouldn't be tolerated in his professional environment. The list served as both punishment and protection, shielding Carson's staff and audience from celebrities who had proven themselves to be dangerous or disrespectful. Johnny's blacklist wasn't about being vindictive, said longtime Tonight Show executive producer Peter Lassley. It was about maintaining standards and protecting people who couldn't protect themselves. The effectiveness of Carson's blacklist was legendary in Hollywood. Agents and managers would warn their clients about the importance of treating Carson and his staff with respect, knowing that one mistake could end a career. Carson's willingness to blacklist major stars sent a powerful message throughout the entertainment industry about the importance of professional behavior and personal conduct. His actions influenced how other shows and networks dealt with difficult celebrities. Johnny showed that talent alone wasn't enough, said entertainment lawyer Jake Bloom. He proved that character mattered and that bad behavior had consequences even for the biggest stars. The blacklist also protected countless Tonight Show employees from abuse and mistreatment. Carson's reputation for defending his staff made The Tonight Show one of the safest working environments in television. Carson's secret blacklist remained in effect throughout his entire career and beyond. Even after his retirement in 1992, these 8 celebrities never received invitations to return to The Tonight Show under subsequent hosts. Johnny's blacklist outlived his career, said former NBC executive Brandon Tartikoff. It became part of the show's institutional memory. These people weren't just banned from Johnny's Tonight Show. They were banned from the Tonight Show period. The persistence of the blacklist demonstrated the lasting impact of Carson's moral authority in the entertainment industry. His judgments about character and conduct carried weight that extended far beyond his own show. At its core, Carson's blacklist reflected his belief that celebrity status didn't exempt anyone from basic human decency. The 8 names on his list represented different types of moral failures: betrayal, disrespect, abuse, addiction, and dangerous behavior. Johnny believed that being famous was a privilege, not a right, said Tonight Show writer Pat McCormick. He thought that privilege came with responsibilities, and when people violated those responsibilities, they lost the privilege. Carson's blacklist served as a reminder that in the entertainment industry, relationships and reputation matter as much as talent. The celebrities who found themselves permanently banned learned too late that burning bridges with Johnny Carson meant burning bridges with the entire industry. Johnny Carson's secret blacklist of 8 Hollywood legends stands as a testament to his moral authority and his commitment to protecting his professional environment. These weren't arbitrary decisions made in anger. They were careful judgments about character and conduct that reflected Carson's values and standards. The fact that these bans lasted throughout Carson's career and beyond demonstrates the respect that the entertainment industry had for his judgment. When Johnny Carson decided someone was too dangerous, disrespectful, or destructive to deserve his platform, that decision carried the weight of absolute authority. For the 8 celebrities on his blacklist, the lesson was clear. Fame and talent mean nothing without character and respect. In Johnny Carson's world, there were no second chances for those who violated the basic principles of human decency. Their banishment serves as a lasting reminder that in the entertainment industry, as in life, your reputation is everything. And once you lose it, you may never get it back. If this shocking revelation about Carson's secret blacklist surprised you, make sure to subscribe and hit that thumbs up button. Share this video with someone who needs to know the truth about how power really works in Hollywood. Have you ever had to cut toxic people out of your life completely? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to ring that notification bell for more revealing stories about the hidden power structures of the entertainment industry.